But we're going to talk about the greenback and the American economy. The last few days, it's not just been stocks and bonds that have been moving. The U.S. dollar also sliding. And earlier today on CNBC, former Fed Chair and Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen expressing, shall we say, concern about the U.S. dollar losing its king status in global trade.
Both the dollar declined and U.S. Treasury yields rose. And what that suggests is that investors are beginning to shun dollar-based assets, and that calling into question the safety of what is the bedrock of the global financial system, namely U.S. Treasuries.
Now, despite that warning, your next guest says that tariff-based recession risks and sustained inflation fears may be a little bit exaggerated. Bill Lee is chief economist at the Milken Institute. And at this point, Bill, maybe we call it the Milken Island, because I kind of feel like economists are tripping over themselves to have the most dire scenario. And you're kind of come out and saying, hey, hold up. I think we're going to hold up from an economic perspective. Explain.
Brian, no card-carrying economist is going to say tariffs are good, and I won't say that they're good either. But I think the source of uncertainty is not so much the tariffs pushing the U.S. into a recession, because the U.S. is a relatively closed economy. Imports represent about 14% of GDP, exports about 11% of GDP. So it's really a small lever with which to push the economy into a recession. And remember your Econ 101, when you lower imports, you boost GDP. Right, you have fewer leakages. So the uncertainty and the drag is really coming from, I think, a broader perspective, one where people are really concerned that President Trump is using up so much of his political capital. The rest of his policy package, which is smaller government, lower income taxes, fewer regulations, that may not get passed. And that was the heart of why the dollar jumped to the highest level ever right after he was elected at the beginning of January. And right now, that slippage, I think, represents more that nagging feeling among investors. We may not get that entire package passed. That's, I think, the source of the uncertainty.
Yeah, and we keep saying that. I feel like I'm on an island a little bit as well, saying we got to wait for Congress, because Congress is going to have a lot to say about this. In fact, they may have the ultimate say, but that's a different issue. I think, and I'll take the other side, Bill. I'm going through a major home project right now. Just leave it there. And I will say that we don't know what anything is going to cost. Now, I'm in a position where I can kind of, I'm a little more dialed in on the news than probably a lot of people, and I've got some financial flexibility, but it's still a weird time. And do you have the fear that a lot of people out there in America are just going to say, you know what, I'm not going to buy this, or I'm not going to do that, because I don't know what things are going to cost?
Brian, I'm right with you. I'm also was planning to last year expand my home a bit, and I've put that off. And I think that's optimal. I mean, you taught in every course you take in business school, when there's high level of uncertainty, what do? You hold back. You hold back a little bit on your spending. You don't cut all your spending, and that's really key. And then you look for opportunities. And I think that's exactly what President Trump is telling the U.S. economy to do. With the semiconductor pause and today's announcement that NVIDIA is building huge plants here in the United States to further the AI tech revolution and innovations, that is, I think, exactly what the markets are supposed to do. President Trump said we're going to restructure global supply lines. We're going to try to restructure the U.S. economy. That doesn't come with little costs. That comes with a lot of costs. And I think we're seeing that cost now. And trying to do it quickly is really his mandate, because the minute we hit midterm elections, his political capital is going to be completely dissipated. So I think he's in a rush to get things done. And I think part of that rush results in this kind of confusing messaging about how it is that tariffs are supposed to work. Tariffs are like a drug, as he says. It's like Coumadin when you have atrial fibrillation. That's rat poison, right? I mean, people get rat poison, but that's part of a policy package. And you just don't take rat poison for atrial fibrillation. You got to, change your diet and do a host of other things. We have to get the rest of that package passed. Lower taxes, fewer regulations, and smaller government to free up resources for the private sector.
Well, and what if the president, and I don't know if he will or not, but what if the president, China says, okay, we'll do this. EU says, okay, we'll do that. Canada will do this, whatever it is, that gives the president what he views as a win, something he can celebrate, whether it's true or not, I don't know. And then he says, okay, never mind on the tariffs, or just keep 10%, which we know is going to be about 1%, 2% cost increases. They're really irrelevant, particularly compared to the last, 4 years or so. What if that happens? Does the market rip higher, or has the damage already been done, Bill?
I don't think that will happen because tariffs is such an integral policy instrument for President Trump. He said that for decades, way before he became president. So we know it's going to be part of life in America. And that's part of the package that he's put in place to try to switch production from outside the states into the United States. And remember, tariffs have some attributes, and I hate to say this as an economist, right? But they give you revenues, and subsidies cost you revenues, right? So the Biden package of giving subsidies in the CHIPS Act to particular companies, that's the government picking winners. Here, it's the market picking winners because you're saying, I'm going to give you higher prices. Now sort it out among yourselves who it is that can benefit and where you want to locate. So in that sense, I think the market has more of a role under the tariff policy mix than it would under, say, a Biden-esque kind of pick the winner approach.